Let's have a look at our strategies and projects for 2020 and plans for 2021. Strategy 1 deals with the fact that all people with lupus should participate in and benefit from lupus research. We do this at 3 levels. We engage at expert level in research to promote patient views through our patient advisory network. We contribute through research on living with lupus by conducting our own research through patient panels or surveys, for instance. We foster broader participation in and dissemination of research by informing patients about clinical trials and research requests, and participating in scientific events with patient views and bringing new knowledge back to the patients. This year, we had the priorities you can see marked in red. We had planned a PAN face-to-face event, which got cancelled because of COVID-19. We had abstracts approved and were supposed to speak in 2 sessions at the European Lupus Meeting 2020. We had planned to organize at least 1 patient panel during the summer of 2020, which all got cancelled because of COVID-19. The 3TR project was struggling to engage because of organization issues, also connected to the coronavirus, but we did have our engagement with our industry partners on track, and most of the PAN could keep on working. The hydroxychloroquine shortages caused by certain politicians meant that the need for us to investigate the problem through our surveys, which you all helped us translate and disseminate, and your members were great to reply to. Thank you so much. This meant that we could step up and act on behalf of all lupus patients and do our best to help solve the problem. All in all, a big plus. The same mechanism was put into action when we ran our big updated Living with Lupus survey 2020. You all helped us translate 44 questions into 20 languages and disseminated it among your members, so we got almost 6,000 answers. Thank you all so much. Maybe it was a help that people were confined to their homes with nothing better to do. We also managed to focus on spreading awareness about clinical trials and have just a few weeks ago added a new function on our website where you can search for clinical trials on lupus near you. This is what it looks like. Go have a look. Patient abstracts. We had EULAR Congress was online this year, and we had 4 abstracts accepted. 1 was even in the scientific program. Publications on track for Living with Lupus 2020 and the hydroxychloroquine survey. And an article that came out of our open space discussion with leading lupologists from all around the world on why clinical trials in lupus fail and how to avoid it. Now, our proposed priorities for 2021, if we get the support of our members, of course, are to further grow the patient advisory network and establish a support structure for ongoing engagement by hiring someone on a contract base. As soon as it is possible to meet face-to-face, we would like to have a patient panel on lupus in the long run, how it is to be a senior with lupus. If face-to-face allows, we will take part in and co-lead the first ERN-endorsed course on lupus for patient advocates, which is scheduled to be held in Pisa sometime in 2021. We are right now waiting for confirmation of the publication of our article on Living with Lupus in 2020, and we are hoping to publish an article on hydroxychloroquine. And we have more data which will be displayed in other media. We will, of course, try to get the Living with Lupus abstracts approved at EULAR, and our plan is to engage with Pisa and Karolinska universities on an economic cost of lupus survey, because we believe that this should be done by patients, but with the help of professionals. The launch of clinicaltrials.match and the survey center on the Lupus Europe website has already been done, so that can be checked off. And now on to Anne-Marie, who will be telling you more about the second strategy.
Hello, everyone. Can I have the next slide, Jeanette? I'm Anna Marie, and I'm going to talk to you about the second strategy. The second pillar of Lupus Europe is members are enthusiastic and empowered. The pandemic also didn't stop us doing our work on this strategy. The red marked blocks are the topics we have been working on this year, mostly online. I will guide you through the things we have done this year so far. Next, please. As mentioned before, we don't have a convention. Next, please. Convention in Bratislava now, but in the clouds, so everyone around the world could join us online. Next, please. This year, we got 3 applications, Bulgaria, Croatia, and Poland. About 50 million population together, so our family is growing. You will learn more about these members in the council session on Sunday morning. Next, please. We created a new group for people of seniors living with lupus. The private Facebook at the moment has around 40 members. Next, please. We promise you, next, please. We promise you to have 2 webinars. Instead, we had 3 webinars. On February 7, we talked about our plans for 2020 to be done by the board. On March 23rd, we had the introduction of the member capacity building project, which resulted in requests from some members. On October 5th, we had an update on the board. This webinar was viewed 600 times. And yet, we don't stop. On December 7th, we will have our 4th webinar, presented by Simon Stones, on how to make a poster. Further information on this webinar will follow at the end of this convention. Next, please. As mentioned earlier, this year we had some surveys. We created a survey on the availability of hydroxychloroquine. The survey was shared throughout our community. Also, the Living with Lupus 2020 survey was shared. Both surveys had good feedback. Next, please. The trustees have made contact with more than 1 member country, which was an informal chat to see how things were going with our members. We reached almost all our members, current and new. Next, please. And again, yes, thank you. This year, a new project was launched, Capacity Building Program. We had 1 application which was granted. A few are in the pipeline. The support program is for future projects of your organization, which are in need for additional funding. Next, please. The patient care pathway project has been suspended due to the influence of COVID would have on the results. This is a project in collaboration with ERN. Next, please. On World Lupus Day, we had an online meeting with many of you and some more uninvited persons who didn't prevent us from having a good time and fun with each other. Next, please. And for our plans to 2020, oh, sorry, my fault, you have to go back, sorry. And for our plans for 2021, I now give the floor to Kika. Kika, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Anna Marie. So next, please. We are still planning the convention face-to-face in Bratislava. The date is pending, but at the moment, we're thinking of rescheduling it by a year. Next, please. We will have 3 webinars or more. If you have any topics you would like to have, please let us know. Next. Though we had more contact with our members online, there is still some work to be done to reactivate the contact with the less active members. Next. The lupus chat or the calls to our members will be done on a regular basis from now on. So if you want to receive an invitation to have a call with us, or if you or your organization wants to have a chat with one or more trustees, please let us know. Next. We're happy to have an application for a co-op position for the youth group. So youth will be represented on the board. You will learn more about this at the council session on Sunday. Next. The capacity building program is an ongoing project in 2021. It is to help our members to organize online events or anything else related to the organization. So if you have any project planned but don't have the complete funding, next, please send us in your application to Annemarie@lupuseurope.org. Next, to have 5 key brochures available on our website. We're planning to have brochures translated into multiple languages. The brochures will be available as PDF. If you are volunteering to translate a brochure, please let us know. Next. And last but not least, what we all do, Kick Lupus. So, what are we going to do as Kick Lupus project next year? Any ideas? Please discuss ideas in the workshops in 30 minutes. And now I will hand it over to Elfriede and Amy. Thank you.
Thank you, Kika. Well, my name is Elfriede and I'm going to tell you about strategy 3, Lupus Europe is heard and acting, which is also a very important pillar. The building blocks of this strategy are that we want a modernized and sustainable web presence, have clear messages and toolkits for each key audience, attend priority events with a clear message and outcome, and have a news flash every trimester. Also, we want to have selected partners to achieve our goals efficiently, have roundtables and webinars with academics, POs and industry, and be the voice of people with lupus in the ERN. And we want to have win-win with the World Lupus Federation. Next, please. This year, we added the Lupus and Me page to our website, where you now can find, next please, the exercise videos, the survey center, and the clinical trial search page through Antidote. And you can find information about a clinical trial near your home, including how to enroll in the trial. And we have just added an information center where we post links to some recent information that is relevant to the community. Next, please. We did a survey on the hydroxychloroquine availability in the first months of the pandemic and repeated it after a few months. We got an incredible amount of responses that gave a good overview of the situation in Europe. We were in discussion with the industry and the EMA, and as a result of that discussion, we were able to influence that there remained some systems for emergency delivery, and that the EMA gave guidance to the countries that hydroxychloroquine should go on priority for unlabeled usage. Next, please. We are using social media more frequently and more professionally. We tested the first time going live for our last webinar with more than 600 views, and we are now live on Facebook during this convention. Next, please. While events face-to-face were cancelled, we were still present in the key events, including a presentation in the scientific section of ELM 2020. Next, please. We've secured and upgraded the newsflash. We have made a contract for support with Ines from Portugal, as a graphic and communication designer, and we made sure by that we have a sustainability and sustainable and recognizable layout, and what's also important, made by someone from the lupus community. Next, please. More results in 2020. Next, please. We had our annual roundtable with the industry just before the pandemic outburst this year, and it was very inspiring both ways. Next. Two things which happened in the ERN for Lupus Europe. We had an article on the COVID impact on people living with lupus, and we were asked if we had examples, and we asked that to the PEN. With their answers, we contributed to the article that has been published. We also participate in a project with the ERN to validate which websites give reliable information. We have input on the PEN on that. It's not finished yet, that's work in progress. Next. The EMA came to us with the question, we need patients, and we could supply them. We have been able to provide patients who could effectively answer questions to specific protocols in regards to approving drugs or if a certain symptom is or is not important to patients. We don't know the exact names of the engagements because that's very confidential. But we know one was about cutaneous lupus and another one was about lupus nephritis. Next. Our collaboration with the World Lupus Federation also brought results. Remember that we published the exercise videos for the first time at the convention last year. It makes us very proud that a lot of people benefit from the videos because that was the main purpose. But thanks to the World Lupus Federation, our video went global on World Lupus Day, so that we jumped to 8,500 views, and we now exceed 10,000 views with more than 11,000 per last count. That's something we are really proud of. Next, please. So we feel proud of what we have delivered this year, but we want to do more in 2021. So we have some proposed priorities, and I'm going to tell you about that, and we hope to have your feedback and input on that later in the workshops. Next, please. On the website, our objective is to beef up the content available and regularly add new surveys and information in our survey and information center. Next, please. Our videos have already been endorsed by the European Reference Network RECONNET, but we now are working to have them also EULAR certified and distributed. Next. Our newsflash will be a priority, making sure that it comes with more regularity every quarter. Next. In ERN RECONNET, we want to obtain a second EPAC delegate. This is work in progress, as the terms of reference must be adjusted to allow this, but we feel we are on a good track to get there. Next. We are learning our way with the EMA and plan to increase interactions, taking part in more seminars, trainings, events, but also provide more advices and procedures. Next. To do this, we will need to recruit 3 additional PEN members focused on EMA engagements and identify additional volunteers that are willing to help if a specific profile is needed. Next. And finally, we also seek to better take advantage of the training available through EURARDIS. Much of it is free and easy accessible through the web, so using their tools and knowledge base can only help us. Thank you for listening, and I now give the floor to Anne for strategy 4.
Thank you, Elfriede. I'm Anne Charlet, member of the board of Lupus Europe. The 3 strategies you have seen from our strategic plan, research, membership, and communications, are only worth pursuing if there is a firm foundation of sustainability to build on. What is sustainability? Simply said, Sustainability is the ability to meet our own needs for today, but also to assure the adequate resources for the future. So how do we assure sustainability for Lupus Europe? Through attention to several areas. Next. Our resources, financial, legal, and human, the European scope of our work, and with our limited resources, we have to make sure we don't get distracted and we stay focused. Next. So to ensure our sustainability, we concentrate on our resources, such as funding, good legal and financial standing, but also warm bodies. Lupus Europe, as any organization, only exists thanks to human effort. Next. The most obvious sustainability factor that comes to mind is funding. We work constantly with our sponsors to ensure that we have the money to match our ambitions to achieve the projects you have heard about in the previous slides. Thanks in part to our three-tier approach to sponsors, that is gold, silver, and bronze sponsors, which allows them to take part according to their desire, we have built strong connections with more partners than ever before. This is great, but it brings with it responsibilities. These monies are charitable donations, but we can't just fly to the Bahamas for a vacation. These funds come with a commitment to show accountability. Next. In addition to the fundings, we have had to handle the drier aspects of association life, such as Brexit and VAT compliance. These are both on track or done. Next. Perhaps because lupus is such a complicated disease and does not discriminate, the lupus community is full of engaged and committed people of all ages. We've made a choice to work with people who know the disease by living with it. As a result, we prefer to use more part-time support so we can be more flexible to those directly affected by the disease. We have done this by adding to the Secretariat. For many years, click. Next. Janet. Oh, sorry. I'm not seeing your slide. No, sorry, can you go back one? For many years, Alan, as General Secretary, was on his own doing all the administrative background work, as well as representing Lupus Europe on many committees and with sponsors. As Lupus Europe is growing, this is an impossible job for one person, even Alan. So, next, Amy joined the Secretariat just after last year's convention to help out. She knew Lupus Europe as she was already a member of the PAN, and by the way, is pursuing UPATI training as well. Next. Zoe joined us just a few months ago as a project manager, the first project being able to help us out organizing this convention, Baptism by Fire. Next. And now there are 3. We hope to add a 4th person who will focus on the PAN, which is becoming more and more well-known and in demand. Next. So, in order to add extra resources, we co-opt advisors, as voted last year by the Council, and use member networks where possible. Next, and who knows, they might just enjoy working in a European role so much, they decide to engage further and apply to become a trustee. That would be great. Next. Oops. And now we talk about the European scale to Lupus Europe. We assess who is best to do the job. As an example, we do not lobby the ministers of the European Parliament on behalf of lupus. We are members of organizations such as EPF that you see here who do that on our behalf. And we'll hear more about those later. Next. And we have to deal with the impact of Brexit as well. As we were registered as a charity in the UK, but now we need a new home. Next. But this just in, announced to us this yesterday, Lupus Europe has been legally and officially registered as a not-for-profit association in Belgium. Our sincere thanks to Descher, who did pro bono legal work to achieve this milestone in Lupus Europe's history, and to the AHC Group, amongst others, for their administrative support. Thanks to them, we are now safely and firmly settled in Europe. Next. Oops. And as with many organizations, we need to regularly check our focus. Make sure that we are staying on track towards our strategic objectives and not getting distracted. Next. So it goes without saying, it's in the name. We are Lupus Europe. That means that we generally restrict ourselves to geographical Europe, and it should go without saying, we restrict ourselves to lupus. Next. There's a lot on this slide, but by working a bit with some of these organizations, we gain so much. So we assess where we allocate the human resources we have. Someone in the board, a co-op, or a member country is working with each of these organizations. Next. We need to ensure that we always have a full board of trustees. We have understood the idea of being a trustee can seem like a big decision. So last year, you all voted to allow us to co-opt trainee trustees for a year, and then see at the end of the year if they are interested in becoming a full-fledged trustee. It's important to make sure that this is a satisfying group to work with. Most people are volunteers, and even the paid staff are all affected by lupus, as said, either directly or indirectly, and so are motivated by their engagement. We have to enjoy doing what we're doing. Next. But it's up to us, all of us, to listen to each other and watch that we're all finding the personal fulfillment we need. So now we have installed regular one-to-one reviews with our new trustees, usually with Jeanette, the chair, to make sure all is well. I'd say at the moment, things seem to be going pretty well. Next. We don't know what 2021 holds for us, but it's sure that there is much more we can do, especially with this new way of working. Next. All the plans you have heard will require more support, so we were beginning to search for a part-time person to focus on all the work that goes with the PAN, which is gaining more interest over time. The administration support will still be below one full-time equivalent, but the fact it's made up of several people, all affected by lupus in one way or another, just adds to the richness. While adding more people, we are working on organizing the roles of the team more structurally with clear responsibilities and expectations. Next. We expect to continue working together with our partners, sponsors, and key organizations as normal, hopefully more normal than this year. But the relationships with our sponsors have been so positive. Can you imagine that one of them, which no longer has a lupus research focus, wants to remain a partner because they appreciate the way we work and how we work with them? That's a very nice endorsement. And next, as Lupus Europe is now officially registered as a not-for-profit association in Belgium, we have to finalize its legal and financial move to Brussels. Next. I can't wait for 2021. You and the members of the board, and you and the members are the reasons we do this. So now, please let us know how we're doing and what you think about these plans in the next workshops. And thank you. And I think I turned it over to Jeanette.
Okay. There don't seem to be any questions coming in the chat. I think that was all very, very clear, probably.